for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Well. How you doing? Fade to Black. Today is Monday, April 21st, 2025. I am your host, Jimmy Church. And here we are kicking off a brand new week here on Fade to Black. And I say it every week. I say, man, it's going to be a great week. It's going to be a great week. And we do it week after week after week after week. And just thank you for being here with us. And kicking off the week tonight, Peter Benson is here. Old dear friend of mine and first time on the show. And I don't know why it has taken so long because Peter and I hang out a lot. And but tonight Peter is here. I've called the show Higher Frequencies, and what that means and everything else. We're going to get into that tonight. He's absolutely fascinating. So stay tuned for that. And then stay tuned for that. You're already here. Tomorrow night, Ray Hernandez is here, and we had to reschedule Ray because last month we had some technical issues with the internet from his home in Colombia. Anyway, he's here now. He's stateside. So Ray will be with us tomorrow night. We're going to discuss his Beyond UFOs study. And then Wednesday night, another old dear friend of mine. Now, I think he's been on the show before, but Captain Ron Janix is here. I've certainly been on Ron's show a few times. I think Ron has been here. I'll ask him on Wednesday. He is the producer of Contact in the Desert. And again, somebody that I've known for, probably, around 10 years or so. And we're going to talk about this year's conference and what's going on there. But also, Ron has been a radio host for many, many, many years, covering UFOs, the phenomena, disclosure, and other things in the supernatural world. And so I'm definitely going to get into Ron's brain and find out what he thinks about disclosure and where we are right now. And he puts on one of the biggest conferences in the world, and he is definitely connected with this. So that's Wednesday night. Thursday night, Jason Martell, another old friend. And this is what's great. Jason, when I first started, I don't even know what year, 2013, when I first started Fade to Black in my radio career. I was already doing radio, but when I started doing Fade to Black, Jason was one of my first guests, like that first week. Think about that. We are very close friends. And what is great about having Jason on, not only the show was called Ancient Aliens, his appearance and being a centerpiece of Ancient Aliens since the very first episode of the first season. There's that. He just got off the road from doing Ancient Aliens live, but it is his pursuit of the truth and trying to get questions answered for so many years that because of our relationship, that conversation is very open, and that's what we are going to do Thursday. So that's an amazing week for me personally and for all of you here on Fade to Black. All right. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and I kind of just earlier today, and I popped it up in the chat. I had some work done here, an electrical panel, breakers, and some other stuff, and also getting ready for a transition into a different optical internet, and that's going to be going on over the next month or so. But in doing all of that, so I got all of that done. Everything's fine, obviously. and that's good. And then immediately, I on Saturday, I don't want to give away too much, but I jumped on a plane, flew to the East Coast, and for a quick meeting that lasted a couple of hours. But I got a chance to, and then I got a chance to hang out with Zach Wild, and I gotta say, one of the greatest guitar players in the world. We all know that, and if you're a guitar player, you understand that. But just a very very cool dude. But he said something to me. We posted a picture on the net of the two of us, and he says to me, he goes, "Hey, Church, you need to put this side by side with the other picture that we took 20 years ago." I went, oh man, yeah. And I haven't done it yet. I've got to dig up that photo. I have it, but and put those side by side. Yeah, yeah, he's right about that. And we just laughed, and there you go. But had a really cool conversation about UFOs. All right, so yeah, so that was my weekend, and now I'm gearing up for the rest of 2025. It's a very, very, very busy year. I have already said we are about to make a big announcement, which is going to happen sometime in the month of June. I said July 1st, but I think it's going to be in the month of June. So, and that will explain a lot about what has been going on around here. There's that. Next week, I will be hosting the Contact Modalities Expo. This is May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Delavan, Wisconsin, at Delavan Lake at the resort there. The links are below. We've got it up in social media. And come and hang out with all of us. A great lineup of speakers. And it's just going to be amazing. We've got a great luncheon. I'm going to do a sit down with Chris Bledsoe. We've got a VIP Skywatch that is going to happen. And hopefully I'll be able to get away and get to White Castle and Cracker Barrel. So that's my other plans for the Midwest. And then right after that, because that's May 2nd through the 4th, I come back in May for Contact in the Desert, which is May 29th through June 2nd, right here in Palm Springs, California. I turn right around. That ends on June 2nd. June 17th through the 27th, I head down to Peru with Brian Forrester, and that's going to go on for a couple of weeks. I turn right around from that at the end of June. I come back to the States, and then I head to the East Coast for the Psy Games, the Psychic Olympics, and that is August 1st through the 3rd, 2025 in Charlottesville, Virginia. All right, so the links for everything that I'm doing are below, and there you go. You know what? Life is busy, but life is also fun. And I will say this every day. I say it so much. Find your bliss. Find your bliss. Whatever it is inside of that thing that you don't tell anybody about, right? Do it. Do it. Oh, before I bring Peter in. All right. So I'm going to share this. And possibly these three guys are listening right now. So I'm at the airport. I'm flying back to LA. I'm at a airport. I'm not going to say which one. I'm at an airport. And I'm outside. I get dropped off. And I'm going in for security. And there's a TSA sign right there, pre-check. I'm TSA pre-check. And so I go up and there's three guys there. And I said, hey, can I smoke out here? And the guy goes, we don't care. You know, and they got their badge, you know, the uniforms on and stuff. And they were really funny. The middle guy, I don't want to get into ego here. Let's just say they found out who I was. All right. And I'm a nobody, but it only takes one, right? And so the middle guy of the three, he goes, man, how did you do what you do? How did you get there? I said, man, it's really simple. Do what makes you happy. This makes me happy. And I wanted to do this. So I went after it. And I said, so the three of you, maybe you want to be in the TSA for the rest of your life. That's fine. That's your bliss. Go and do it. And if it's not, whatever it is that you want to do, go and do it. Go and do it right now. And the guy on the left, my left, he goes, I want to be a pilot. I go, there you go. You already work at an airport, man. You're halfway there. And he smiled. I go, go. Do it. Do it. Chase your bliss. All right. And that's what Peter Benson did. Peter chased his bliss. And we're going to talk about all of that tonight. Higher frequencies. And here's the deal. I've known Peter for a long time, and I've told some stories about Peter on the air over the years. Now, tonight, you finally get to meet him because he's going to share his journey from mechanic, engineering, right? Tech, all of that, to being an energy healer and the creator of the angelic energy tools. I have some of them here in the studio. We're going to be talking about all of that and how to restore balance to the divine masculine. Yeah. Are we going to do that? We're going to do that much more. His links are below. Peter's already laughing. Peter, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, Jimmy. I love the intro.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing. I could do a 15-minute intro for us. No point in that. Let's just bring you in. Yeah. Can I share a story about you that happened a couple of weeks ago?
Sure.
Okay. I pull up where we were in Sedona. I pull up in Sedona, and Peter, okay, hold on. I'm going to back up. I'm going to throw myself under the bus. I had been not ignoring, but not replying to Peter's emails and text to me. We have stuff that we're working on, everybody, right? And it's just one of those things. And I was like, man, I got to get to Peter today. And then a day turns into a week, you know, and so forth. But Peter and I see each other often. But I pull up and who do I see first? There's Peter. And I'm like, man, he's going to be so angry. And so we pull up, I roll down the window and I go, hey. You looked at me and you go, hey. I go, you're pissed, aren't you? And you go, about what? I go, dude, I'm so sorry. No, man, it's all right. And I was so freaked out, Peter. I thought I was going to get the wrath, you know, and I asked for it too. I asked for it. But yeah. So there you go. It was pretty funny. You're such a cool guy. I gave you the opportunity to go, dude, but you didn't.
No.
It's not your nature,
to.
Is it? Yeah,
not my nature.
Your nature. Not your nature. Before we get into, I want to share a story with everybody real quick that involves you. I've told the story on the air about the pyramid. Okay.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
your pyramid, but now everybody gets to see you. Okay. So I've told everybody about the pyramid that I sat underneath and got astro traveled to Egypt. And it was pretty amazing. But this is so I've told the story. I'm not going to get into the story. The bottom line is, it was, you know, what's weird about that is I felt like the experience of what I went through was like maybe a couple of days. Okay. Yeah. That was my experience. So when I came out of it, which was very sudden and abrupt, and I looked, I was like, how long was that? And you turned to me and you go, 15 minutes. I was like, no effing way. What? Because it was so complete. So this is what I want to ask you, because you were the observer. What was I doing?
You were just sitting in, what do you want to put it? In your bliss, as you would put it. Right. And just sitting very, very stable inside that environment and you were basically experiencing what you needed to see. So the
So I
pyramid.
wasn't. Was I? Or was I making faces, or was I just
No,
stoic?
no, you were just stoic. A
Mm.
lot of times it's like you're just, what it is you're in an energy field. So the pyramid creates a safe place to be in. And that's why we bring it to the events like that. So it creates a safe place. We give you the theta audio, and then basically what Viv does is works on you and then brings you into a complete, what do you want to call it, blissful state. And it puts you in the theta state so you can actually start out of body travel and doing the etheric journey like you had seen Egypt and other things. So it can be very, very intense.
It was so intense. It was so intense. After that, I remember looking at the pyramid, going, I'm not doing that again." Not that it was scary. It's a lot to process, man.
Yeah.
It's a real experience. And it was so funny. You and Vivian were coming. You ready? You want to go? No, man. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good right here. But so to tell everybody what had happened, and it was almost instant. So this I felt it was like a rainbow. It's the best way I can explain it. Um, I felt like rainbow colors. I could feel it like going around my body, like pink and green and blue. And then and I was like enveloped in this, like this gas. I don't know how to explain it, light. And but anyway, then all of that got taken over by pink. And the pink, it was weird. The pink moved past me, Peter. It went from my left to my right, like a curtain. And then boop, I'm in Egypt watching a parade. I'm a spectator. And I'm standing there with a bunch, which I don't know, 100,000 people on both sides of this street or avenue. And there was Egyptian floats coming by. And I'm standing there just watching the parade with everybody else, just the spectacle. And it was a long parade. I didn't watch 15 minutes of it. I watched it from beginning to end. And then I walked around. I think I was there for, like I said, maybe 2 days, walking around. And for you to tell me that that was only 15 minutes, how does that work? My experience was full length.
Yeah.
But you told me it was only 15 minutes. How does time work in it doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, it's once you're out of the physical plane, the time doesn't matter anymore. That's the same thing with the NDEs. You see that like people they die on the table for 3 minutes and they're gone for they come back and say they were a week on the other side.
Somebody just asked me if there were wheels on the Egyptian floats. I don't remember that, but I guess just like a normal parade float, you don't see the wheels; they're underneath. So I don't remember that. I do. I remember them being pulled. They were being pulled. Not horses, no. People, yes, pulling. And lots of gold. Hard to explain. Like the floats were gold plated. And it was an amazing, it was just crazy. And I was a spectator.
Yeah.
I wasn't a pharaoh, right? I wasn't a priest on one of these float. No, I was just a dude in the crowd. It was bizarre. It was fun. It was really cool.
Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah, and the other part to it is there were no suggestions or anything. I didn't know, and that's just what happened. You know what I'm saying is it wasn't like Peter said, "Okay, so Jimmy, we're going to take you to Egypt," or whatever. No, that's not what happened. I just sat down and this thing just unfurled. It was crazy.
Yeah, there was when you went in there, there was something you needed to see. Don't know
I,
why,
s-
but that was something you wanted to see.
I saw it.
Pretty cool.
I
Yeah.
saw it. And uh, somebody, many have asked me, were the pyramids there? Didn't see them. Didn't see him. I guess we were in downtown Cairo. I don't know how to explain that, but um, with your background, now I've got some of your stuff here, and we're going to go over this throughout the show. But I've got some of Peter's work here, and Peter's wearing. Hold it up, Peter, to the camera. Is that Metatron?
No, this is the big one. Metatron is right here.
Yeah,
It's gonna get the camera to focus, but
yeah. Same thing
look
with
down a little
me.
bit.
So here's mine, and you can't see it because of the camera, but that crystal in the middle has a jaguar head in it that's natural.
Yeah.
It was so funny when Peter gifted this to me, and he says, "So Jimmy, just whatever one you resonate with." And I picked this up and I looked and I'm thinking to myself, "There's a jaguar in there," and you go, "Oh, you picked the jaguar." I'm like, "You see that?" And it's so cool. It's but you can't see it on the cameras here, but it's absolutely incredible. So this is mine, and we're going to go through all of that. Now
Yeah.
let's talk about your journey and how you got here, okay? Because
Yeah.
to suggest a career, and you're a family guy, dealing with engineering and tech to this arena, it's a pretty strange journey, or is it?
It is. It is. I mean, you know, when I was a teenager, I was more of a rebellious kid, having all kinds of fun and poking the bear all the time. Um, went to trade school, was a mechanic for 15 plus years. Um, Ended up going back to school, got associates, started working for a large semiconductor company, and stayed there for 20 some odd years. So coming into the point where I was going through a life change, all of a sudden I get a message from Metatron to make this stuff. I'm like, who's Metatron?
Well, exactly,
You know,
exactly.
it's
But Peter, the world of engineering
yeah,
and that stuff, it's black and white, it's positive and negatives. It's a very
it
practical
is.
thing where you're not necessarily exposed to, this community, and how does your pragmatic mechanical mind understand what is happening?
That's where it was kind of interesting. It's like I said, it's like it just shows up. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to do this. I don't know who it is, who's Metatron, and I didn't know some of the crystals in it. And I was starting to experiment with the slim spurling technology, which is the tensor rings. And I was using my engineering side to do that because it's actually, you take a copper wire, fold it over, cut it to a specific length, and braze it together, and it creates an energy field. Um, and the interesting piece is I had made a few of them and they weren't turning on. They weren't being active like the slim spurling tools were. Uh, and I was actually going through life change, spiritual journey. And I started actually opening up and becoming more and more, what do you want to call it, attuned of, I'd say not attuned, aware of how my emotions were behaving and my thoughts while I was creating. That's what really started shifting. So keeping a positive frame of mind, keeping a positive thought in your head. Like the one for me was, I heard it was a song called from Diva Pramel. It was called Ahem Prama. And then I looked that up. It's divine light. So I was just having that. I mean, I wasn't changing anything of who I was, but all I did was I was saying Ahem Prama over and over in my head as I was building the tensor rings. And all of a sudden things started turning on and the energy of the tool started getting more and stronger. And it was just like, okay, this is interesting. So I'm changing my energy, I'm changing my field. And I'm going, this is just not me. I'm not used to this. I'm a mechanic. I can fix cars. I can logically analyze things with the engineering. I have, what's the return on investment? What do you have, how much measure this and, have to prove that. And it's, going from a theory to a proof. And it's like, I'm experiencing things, and there is no, the proof is the experience. So it's going from all of that into this type of work. Like you're saying, it's not normal from that perspective. So what was interesting is when I started getting into these tools, and all of a sudden now I actually looking back at it, it's like being a mechanic gave me the experience of working with my hands, working with torches, working with metals. Okay. From there, I got into engineering, and I did that for a very long time. And that taught me how to be very precise, calculated, understanding, documenting. So when I started doing, when Metatron came in and started asking me to create these tools, I was like, who's Metatron? It's like, okay, I can do that. That's not a big deal. What are those crystals? And it's like all these things. So it's more of a journey of my experiences throughout life, to me, multiple careers, culminating in we want to call it path that I couldn't have seen in any way.
When you say these messages started to come in from Metatron, how did that happen?
The first one came in from Metatron, came in through a healer I was working with, because I was still going through a lot of stress and trauma in my life. So I wasn't really open at the time. But the message came in from her on to create the Metatron anklets. So
which are these?
The ones you have, the anklets, yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to hold these up just really quick. We're going to get into these later. I'm going to let everybody know I wear these in bed. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I wear them. I put them on. I wear them at night. Yep, I do. And no shame in my game. I'll run around the house wearing these at night. And I like grounding at night. And so I ground and I wear these every night when I go to bed. So, but when we'll talk about the construction and everything else. And they're just out of focus, but they're beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So the message comes in. Let's stay with that for a second, Peter.
Absolutely.
So if you are in this pragmatic, I'm going to say it, non-spiritual career path, right?
Oh yeah.
Why did you seek out a healer?
Well, I was going through, let's say, a family reorganization.
Wait. Yeah. I asked it the wrong way. It seemed like your mind was open enough to seek out a healer, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, true. So basically, I had been at Intel for, I don't even know, probably 18, 19, 20 years at that time. So this was back in 2016, 2017. And I was going through a family reorganization, changing positions in different places. And I was trying to rediscover who I was, because I had lost myself in that relationship. So at that point, I'm like, I was doing, basically I was working night shift. So at night I would sit out and just watch movies. And then about 2 o'clock in the morning, because you have to live the shift in order to stay, kind of sane, I'd do meditations at night. I just chill out and meditate. And I started shifting my energy from anger over what was going on to more of a trying to understand who I was instead of being the anger, because it overwhelms you, and going through that kind of thing, it makes you angry and upset. You don't know where to go. You can't, you don't want to hurt anybody, because it's just like, for one, it's not my nature, so I wouldn't want to lash out. So I'm trying to figure out who I am, because it's like I got lost. So this is where, when I started going into an energy healer, it's like, okay, help me understand where can we clear out some of this negative energy, the anger, even the, it's like, we don't call it the anger at myself for allowing that to happen, and all these other things. It's when you go through these, when you go through that kind of stuff, it's very hard to see any light. because you become drowned, overwhelmed with the energy of everything going on, and also the the legal situations and all that.
Mm.
And when kids are involved, it gets even worse.
Yep.
So I was just trying to understand who I am at my core. So I was like, I started looking into the spiritual side of things just because I didn't know where else to turn. I had nobody else at the time. My parents aren't here. Nobody was here. So I ended up going into sound baths up in Scottsdale and doing meditations in downtown Phoenix, where Viv's meditations and stuff like that for healing, and uh, that's where I started, and it started coming through there. I started getting more and more. What do you want to say? Slowly getting some. What do you want to call it? Cracks in the facade of everything that was going on. And then when Metatron came in and actually gave me the anklet process, it took me about a year and a half to actually build them and design them. But during that process of just focusing on what he had instructed, it actually helped me open up even more. And that's where it's like, okay, that's where it all started. And it was really interesting.
This reminds me of, well, okay, just let me say this. At least you had the ability, both mechanically and from an engineering standpoint, but also the drive to actually do this. Most people will be told something like this and not act on it, but you acted on it, and that is very cool. And it reminds me of George Van Tassel. And George Van Tassel, for those that don't know, but he was the guy out of Giant Rock in Landers, California, and he received information to build a couple of things, and one of them was the Integratron. And he got the designs, he was told what to do, and he went and he built it. And there were a few other things that he was giving the ideas and the designs of, that he went and got stuff done. That's what that reminds me of. So many of us, me, I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? Okay, so with these, everybody can now see the anklets. How did Metatron describe what this is?
Yeah, he was actually kind of very vague. So basically, the message it was rather interesting. It's like, okay, I want you to make an anklet out of a tensor ring, and it has to have 5 crystals. Have these 5 crystals in it, and the crystals have to be encased in copper mesh. So, like, okay, I got to figure this out. How do I make a anklet out of a tensor ring, which is round instead of everything else? So, I figured that out. And the 5 crystals. It's like I had never heard of morganite or tanzanite at that particular time in my life. I'm like, what are these? I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like, whoa. And it's like, figured it out. And like you said, it's like, well, what kept, I mean, I was just curious. It's like, okay, I got a message. I'm curious. What do these things do? But when he was done, he was like, these will help keep your frequency yours as we go through this time. That was his exact phrase.
Wait. Say that again. This will help keep your frequency yours. Is that what you said?
Yes. So what it does, it's like they will allow you to keep your frequency yours as we go through this time. So basically what it is, they basically shield you from everybody else's frequencies. So, I mean, I know everybody's walked in the morning, going to get a coffee, Starbucks or whatever it is, and you bump into somebody that's just pissed off and all of a sudden you get grumpy. Or you bump into somebody that's like super happy and you haven't had your coffee yet, and you're like, what is going on with that? It's but that's, you're sharing their energy and their frequency. So the anklets actually protect you from their, sharing in that way, unless you choose to.
Can I get you to tilt your camera?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let me move it down.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Much better, Peter. Much better. So let's continue. Okay, so here, the mesh that Peter's talking about is here. Here's the tensor ring on the outside. The crystals are here. On both of them. But so as Peter is describing this, Now you can actually see, and to the eye, when you see it's absolutely stunning. But the functionality part, did
Yeah.
Metatron make sense? I mean, that almost sounds like, how do I say this? I want to say this in a very polite way, but you know, when you see, yeah, you see like an old kung fu movie, right?
Yeah.
And the kung fu master always says some bullshit like this: to
Yep.
turn left, you must first go right. You know, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
To go up, you must first go down. Dude, stop with that. What do I really need to do? But was that sounds a little bit like the message from Metatron, doesn't it? I mean, unless you know
Yeah.
what to receive, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, for me, I was like, okay. So we wrote it all down, took notes. I went home and I
Yeah.
started researching everything, and yeah, it just didn't make any sense. And this has been a very long journey. So what we did is it's like I built them out, and then we had people that were energy sensitive. I was experimenting. I'm like, here, try these. What do they do? Because I mean, it's like I could barely feel any of it because I was still going through that family reorganization for quite a while, because it takes time. So it was one of those things. It's like really interesting. The one lady, I think it was like 3 years later, we did meet a lady in San Francisco who was really visual with her energy, and she could actually see what the anklets were doing.
Mm.
And this was really interesting. I'm like, really? Okay, cool. And then she explained it to us. It's like, when you put them on, if you visualize the larger energy torus your body creates, heart math has said that when your heart creates a torus field coming up, and it goes up and all the way around you, and it comes back, goes all the way around. It's bidirectional, so it comes in through the root and it comes in through your crown chakra. What she said is, at that point, what it does is it closes the top and bottom of that torus, so no other energies can get inside of your field. And that's what she said. I'm like, that's an amazing visualization. Thank you. And
Mm.
we've used it since then. And it allows people to understand it because everybody's seen, the pictures of the torus field and the seven chakras and all that other thing. It's like that's fairly common nowadays. So it's really interesting to have somebody explain it like that.
There is, I love science. Okay. When you go back, I did a really pretty solid deep dive into electricity. All
Mhm.
right. Now that's your background, right? And I really was fascinated with it. But if you go to the late 1700s, when electricity, now you got to think about this, wires, this kind of stuff, it, it wasn't around because nobody needed them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So things like that, but that came much so as electricity was starting to be discovered. You ever put a battery on your tongue? Yeah, we all have, right? Right.
Oh yeah.
We've all done that, right? Well, that's what they were doing in the 1790s, where they could take a couple of metals, different metals, coins is a good
Yeah.
example, and put the two metals together and put it on your tongue, and you could feel a slight, they said you could taste electricity. That was their vibe. You take the
Yeah.
metals apart, you got nothing. But if you put the two together, there's a slight, right, interaction
Yeah.
that's going on there. But that, to go from that suddenly, Peter, this is you and Metatron and these, it's the same thing in that they were dealing with something they couldn't see,
Yep.
something that they didn't know anything about. They didn't know what electricity was. They didn't know where it came from, or anything. And it was, and then to get into electromagnetism and electromagnetic, and which is now a fundamental force of nature, right? Well, back then, no, and it was all invisible magic, electricity, and how they got to where it was a long series of experiments dealing with power that they didn't know where it came from. And that's exactly what these are.
Yep.
That's exactly what you're doing, isn't it?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And on your thing, and what you were talking about, it's like having the what do you want to call it, the drive to keep going. Basically, what had happened is I was building the tools out. We finalized the design out there, and we were going through some pretty heavy times, going through the reorganization. And I had stopped building because of everything else going on. So Vivian gets a message from some. Let's just say that, let me frame this so it kind of gives you a visual. In her dream state, she saw these three women standing in front of her. There were three portals right behind those three women. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden, these 100-foot higher dimensional beings just go whoop right behind them. And they basically talk through the women to Vivian until it's like, tell Peter it's time to make the tools. I'm like, and she told me that the next day. I'm like, okay, I guess I need to start making the tools.
Yeah,
again.
shit'll get off the pot, Peter.
It's
it's
basically
time, right?
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I made them, and then I got scolded for not making them continuously. So it's like, okay, here we go.
Now,
But
let's stay right here for a second. This is a very fun conversation. You know, as long as we've known each other, by the way, we've never
Yeah.
had this conversation, have we? This is cool.
no.
I'm learning something. Crystals are mysterious, and I love talking about them. I have a lot of crystals. I can't do the show. I have crystals here in front of my desk every night that I move into position. It's weird, you know. I got just a few feet from me is a really nice fast Harley Davidson. Sitting next to that is a black Jeep 4x4 raised with big tires on it, right? Damn it, I'm a man's man with crystals in front of me, man. I don't care. But crystals, so you had said earlier that you didn't even know about these crystals. So let's go on the crystal journey. What did you start to find out about crystals and their properties?
So when I was given the message for the anklets, there were the 5 crystals involved. So it had black onyx, which I've heard of, not a big deal. Lapis lazuli, heard of that, not a big deal. And tiger's eye, heard of that one, no big deal. But morganite, I hadn't heard of.
Hold on, what is morganite? Hold on.
Morganite,
okay, keep going. Keep going.
Yep. Morganite looks like a rose quartz, but it's a different.
It's beautiful.
Structure.
Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. It's a higher vibration on the same kind of frequency of the heart.
It's not cheap either. It's not cheap.
No, they're not.
Wow. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
It's like the cost of a diamond.
Yeah, if you get one, they're A grade, and you go to the jewelry store, you can see them, and they're absolutely stunning, but they're very expensive. Same thing with tanzanite. Tanzanite is also very expensive.
Little piece of morganite is a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that. Beautiful though. Okay, so I've got morganite in here.
Yep.
Okay, and what was the 5th?
Tanzanite.
Oh, tanzanite.
Yeah, tanzanite's the blue-purple crystal. It's also very, very expensive to actually build into jewelry and stuff like that.
And man, it's expensive. Yeah. Yeah. Woo. Okay. All right. Also very beautiful though. I've always liked tanzanite.
Yeah. No, the colors of those 2 crystals, especially if you get the A grade, is amazingly gorgeous.
Man, I'm looking at a rough cut oval tanzanite, right? It's on sale, by the way. $65,776. Look at that. Here's a smaller one for $13,600. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's real.
No.
21 karat emerald cut, loose stone.
Yeah.
$13,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, wow. So regardless, we don't use A grade in the pendants and tools. We couldn't
You
swing
don't
that
have
one.
to. No, you don't have to.
No. We're not looking for the quality of the clarity kind of thing. That's not the point. We're looking at the crystal's energy, the chemical structure and its energy coming from it. So
Okay,
that's when we
so
can use
what?
that.
Let's go through these five energies. So let's go back. So we've got. Well, let's start with morganite. I'm learning something. What does morganite give us?
Morganite is more like an angelic realm type of rose quartz. So it's more of like an unconditional love versus like a rose quartz, which is a love energy. So it's a higher frequency of that on that level.
And
So it's actually
tanzanite.
it's Tanzanite is, I'm not sure the exact speaking of what it is as far as its full metaphysicals, because some of them have some crazy ones. But what I look at for Tanzanite, I see the higher chakra energies opening up. It's blue and purple at the same time. So you have your throat chakra and your third eye opening up, and it also has the crown chakra. So you have the purple, the indigo, and the blue. So it gives you the higher chakras in one crystal. So that one there is actually a really high vibe crystal.
And tiger's eye.
Tiger's eye, for me, tiger's eye is very grounding.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's for me personally. So when you look at some of the crystals, you can go out and look at like crystalhealing.com and you can get metaphysical explanations for all the different crystals.
Everybody's got a different opinion, by the way.
Correct. And that's
I
what I
never
mean.
get. Yeah, it's not like there's some standard, some crystal. You walk around the Conscious Life Expo and everybody's got a crystal handbook and they're reading from the same pages. No, that's simply not the case. But tiger's eye is grounding.
For me, yes. Tiger's eye is grounding for me, and it also has the yellow because we're not using the other colors. We're using the yellow. So that gives you also a little bit of grounding and a little bit of amplification for your solar plexus in the yellow energy. So those are very good there. And then you have the lapis lazuli, which is also a very, what do you call it? It's a very opening crystal. It's blue, so it gives you the throat chakra energies, which is also very helpful in that manner as well. Let's see, we have the black onyx is clearing. The black energies tend to absorb everything. So,
and what did we leave out? So black onyx, tiger's eye,
got 'em all.
morganite, tanzanite. No, there was a fifth.
We had lapis, black
Oh, yeah.
onyx, tiger eye. Yep.
Yeah, and what does lapis do? I have two lapis crystal skulls.
Oh, there you go. Well, for me, lapis has a very vibrational for the throat chakra opening, bringing that in. Other people call it a very, very high vibrational crystal for their own means. And if I remember right, a lot of the metaphysics actually say it's a very high vibration crystal. I find it to be very opening in the throat chakra and helping clear things out. Because it's actually if you look at some of the lapis, it can go from a gray to a blue, and it has like the gold streaks in it, and it has a lot of beautiful textures to it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, lapis it has a lot more to it than just the blues, but it's really hard to explain for me what it really feels like. It's like if you go for the gold color at that point and adding that particular aspect into the crystal, you're looking at more of like a angelic or a Christ kind of consciousness energy with the gold layering, gold energy.
Yeah, I have a lapis. Well, I have two, but I have a pretty large skull, and right down, not quite the center, but there's a gold streak.
Yeah.
Right, and it's beautiful, man. You just
Yes.
look, and also with lapis, you just touched upon this, but it's very 3D. And if it's polished right, and because there's so many inclusions and stuff that is going on inside of it, it's a very 3D thing, multicolored. And if you're lucky, you get some really cool gold. And I do have it in that one skull, not in the other one, but that one. It's just got this. It's like black with it's a black dark navy blue, but on the one side of it, I'm using my own head as an example. What the hell am I doing? What the hell? Anyway, is this long, and it's just this gold streak with gold flakes in it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot
Lapis can
going
be
on.
absolutely stunning. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So the combination of those 5,
Yep.
did you get an explanation for that?
No. So there was no, this is the fun part where I'm dealing with the archangels. They just gave me instructions. It's either the first one, which is a verbal from somebody else. The other ones I've been getting are all downloads. So that just like, there's really no details in their description. I would have never in my life put those 5 crystals together, considering I hadn't even heard of 2 of them. And to understand what they're doing, and you put them on, and what they do is they teach you, they modify you. Look, put it this way: the crystals and the tensor rings modify you. So the tensor ring projects the crystal energy into your being, and then your whole energy field shifts based on how the crystals are guiding you.
Now,
That's
I'm
interesting.
I'm gonna mention something. I want your reaction to this.
Sure.
I sleep with them.
Yep.
I use them to dream.
Yep.
Okay. That's my
Oh, yeah.
own experiment with it. And again, Peter and I have not talked about this stuff.
Yeah.
Not like this. I use them to dream. Sometimes when I travel, I don't take them. These sit in my jewelry box. Okay. So sometimes I forget to take them on the road, and every time I'm bummed because I use these to dream. And I'm excited every night when I'm ready for dream. I do other stuff. I ground and I get ready for dream time, which is my favorite part of the day, besides talking to you right now, Peter, is getting ready for dream time.
Yeah.
And what is going on? I'm not wrong, am I?
No. So where you are, and everybody, well, put it this way, like we talked about, when you're putting them on, they ground you. That's the tensor ring. The energy of the tensor ring is very grounding. So it allows you to stay, it keeps your energy of your body actually very grounded. Then that closes your field down so that you're not going to be interfered with by anybody else's energy or any energies in the environment around you. So it becomes more of like, okay, what are you looking to do in your dream state? How are you going to be responding to your own energy? So you can actually get more out of it. And instead of being, like you said, it's like if you travel without them, you notice a big difference in dreaming because there's interference from other people's energy in the environment around you.
I stumbled upon that accidentally. All right.
Yeah.
It's not like I asked you, or I'm taking advice from a friend, and these were gifted to me, and so forth. And so I decided the best time for me to wear these was at night, and because I didn't want to wear these on my Harley. Right? I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to walk around at the mall with these, but that first day I woke up and I was like, wow.
Yes.
Okay. So I started to experiment over the next couple of weeks, some nights wearing them, some nights not. And the dream state was divine, but it was also the night sleep was solid and uninterrupted. And again, so then I would not wear them, and it was right back to normal, like, just a rough night's sleep. Wearing them, everything just seemed to work. I dreamt and I slept, and I woke up fresh, and now I ground when I sleep. That's all I do. Grounding. Okay. Let me look at the clock before we head to the break. Sleep time, nighttime, is 1/3 of your life. It's 1/3.
Yep.
Right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
For most people, it's a waste. Why not take advantage of those 8 hours?
Oh hell yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Don't waste that. That's valuable time to get your body back in line, to do this, and also have some really cool, crazy dreams too as well. Don't waste your night. That's my advice.
Yep. Yeah, that's the first time I wore them to bed. And this was a long time ago. When I first time I wore them to bed, I woke up the next morning. I'm like, I felt like a million. I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Yeah, I woke up so rested. No, it was just, it's really hard to describe that first night. It was just like, I've never felt that way before waking up. So yeah, these do that. And it's not, you don't wake up feeling like that every single morning, because you shift. Every day is every different energy. So you do feel better. You just don't feel like that $1 million a day every day. But if you go without them for a little bit, and yes, you will wake up feeling like $1 million again. It's just like one of those things. Your energy shifts along patterns along with the whole planet. So it's you have to go along with that.
We're going to take a break here in about 60 seconds. With your background in engineering, were these? I'm going to go back to my research into electricity too, as well. Being able to go back and measure forces and things that nobody could see is part of the process of getting to where we are today with forces, electromagnetism, EM, and frequencies and everything else. But that came over a process of time. Were you able to measure these and get some kind of data back?
Not specifically with those. We did get data back on the pendants.
Okay. Not independence. The pendants.
The pendants.
Okay,
Absolutely.
we'll talk about all of that when we come back. Our guest tonight, the one and only Peter Benson, is with us. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black t-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 t-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. Get your Fade to Black t-shirt today. Go Beckley Teppy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut.
Today we're headed to Bolivia, Tiwanaku, Peru, and of course, Bumapunku. Brian, exciting. Thank you so much for everything, my friend.
Always an honor. Right behind us is the sacred river of the Inca that goes past Machu Picchu. So we're going to be driving up to its source at 15,000 feet above sea level, and then down to Lake Titicaca.
So today we hit 15,000 feet.
Yes.
Crazy. And you can do it with us. All you have to do is go to hiddenincatours.com. Simple. We've got 2 tours coming up next year, one in June for the summer solstice,
That's
right? And then another one right here in November. So hiddenincatours.com. Come and hang out with Brian and I and his amazing team.
Right on.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com.
All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Peter Benson is with us. We're talking about his work after he was told by Archangel Metatron to build some stuff. And build he did. Now, we just talked about these anklets that I wear. I wear these every night. Every night that I'm home, for sure. I cannot sleep without them. It has nothing to do with sleep. I don't want to explain it or misrepresent my intention with these. I ground every single night. I have an electrified setup. I have grounding bed covers. I have grounding pillowcases. Everything is plugged in, and then I also plug myself in. I do every night, and I pop these on every single night. I ground. I think it is essential to zero out your body every day, and I do. And what I found in doing that is I was waking up in the morning. I started making phone calls to people. Man, have you this grounding? The night that I had last night was incredible, and it's gotten to the point where I absolutely look forward to going to sleep and grounding. And that's me. Our guest tonight, Peter Benson. And Peter, I went through this weird thought about 2 weeks ago. And I think strangely at night when I'm in bed grounded and I'm in the dark and my mind starts to wander. And I am really into entanglement, all right, and entropy. Those are my 2 favorite subjects. And I started thinking about entanglement and the idea behind it, which is this is part of physics now for sure, are two particles that get entangled, and then they change the state of the particle that they're entangled with instantly, not at the speed of light, but at the same time. Now that's a pretty crazy concept. And this goes right back to you, but there's a huge but now for me. And I'm wondering if the world of physics is going to start to discuss this. I'm not a physicist. I just play one on TV. Is this okay? I understand that if you can entangle 2 particles, get them in close proximity, and now they are entangled. All right. And to the other sides of the universe, theoretically, they're still entangled. All right. Makes sense. Telepathy makes sense. Possibly channeling, communication. A lot of things come into play here with entanglement. And then I had this thought. Everything is entangled. Everything. All
Absolutely.
particles, everything in the universe. Every particle in the universe is entangled with another particle. And this thought, so it went through my head and I started to think, I thought, oh my God, is this what everybody is on about? The electric universe, the consciousness, dark matter, dark energy, forces, and I was, wait a minute. What if everything is entangled? It was like this heavy thought that I went through, and that checks a lot of boxes for me.
Yeah.
Stuff like this, right? And your work, but this is where it just came crashing down on me. What would happen if everything became untangled?
Well, if you look at our universe, it's like the new spiritual thing is everybody is one. But if you want to look at it like you were saying, okay, if one particle can be entangled with another particle, okay, so just put a pin in that one. So we have
right.
We have trillions of cells in our bodies containing I don't know how many millions of particles in each cell. We could literally have a molecule tied to every single being in the entire universe in our body.
Correct. And that
Period.
and
This
then
could be.
and right. Well, I believe that is the case. Which every particle on this planet, every particle, right, is entangled with other particles throughout the universe, and where they came from, a specific star. This saying, and this is directly tied to your work. The saying, right? We are stardust. You hold up your left hand, you hold up your right hand, you've got particles from two different stars that died so you could be here. That's like, but it's a fact, right? It's a fact.
Yeah.
So what would happen if everything became untangled? Would we just like a black hole, right? Just like, but yeah. And that's where I'm going. That's my thought process right now, that every particle in the universe is entangled with another particle. Everything. Am
Absolutely.
I wrong? I know. I think that's the case.
I believe so as well. So, I mean, that would actually give you a physical aspect of the unity universe or the oneness type universe. Yes.
I mean, it's, I don't think that it could be another way. And it answers all of those questions, right? All of them, that these mysterious forces and things that no matter what, physics or science will label it dark, because they can't see it, right? So they call it dark. Whatever it may be, dark is labeled on everything right now. And maybe it's because everything is entangled, and that's why these forces that we don't see are out there, moving stuff around, carrying energy and information. And I'll take it one step further. It thinks.
Oh yeah.
So is that the definition of consciousness? Yeah, maybe.
Yep. Yeah. It's all part of the what do you want to call it? The simulation we're living in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And so where do you think Metatron exists?
I'm unsure with that. I mean, if you look at religious side of things, he is, the scribe for the source. He is God's right-hand man, writing things down. There are other mythologies to where he is. There are two energy fields between, on the front and the back of the moon, in their orbit. Sorry, in forward and behind the moon. And this is like Sumerian type stuff. One of them was called Metatron, I don't know what the other one was called. So I don't really know what the definition specifically is. Um, all I can say is the being that's communicating with me. Um, they are very much a higher being, no judgment. Um, you can tell by the way that they communicate. It's like when I first got the message, it came through somebody else. But when I asked for help, when we were trying to figure out how to make the anklets work for somebody who was being judged because she was wearing anklets, it was a very loving communication that came back down. We can make this work like this. So yeah.
That's a really funny statement because of what I said earlier. You know, I have no problems wearing them at night in bed in the safety of my own home. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with them. I'm just saying, and they're beautiful to look at. But I just, is it being self-conscious? Ego, vanity, is it coming into play? Maybe, but ultimately because of that, and I want to stress this, because of that, I found a process that works for me.
Yeah.
And one that I thoroughly enjoy, Peter, thoroughly. Changed
Yeah.
me, changed everything. Now, let's get to the pendants. There's a lot going on with these. Do you have an image that you can share?
Let me switch here. I can switch over to, where are you here? I'll switch to this one where I can
Yeah,
get
perfect.
myself
This is perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
yeah. So it's like, whoop.
No, that's me. Okay,
Oh, okay.
hold on. Okay, let me go back to here. Why can't I, if I go to here, no. Okay, hold on. I'm going to do this now. If I do this, there we go.
Yep.
Okay,
There we go.
perfect.
All right. Yeah. So we have the three pendants here. The one on the left, the large one, that's Archangel Gabriel. That's for higher communication with the higher dimensional stuff. This is really good for meditation or helping others with healing energies. This is the Archangel Michael, the middle one. And that's the one Jimmy has. That one is empowerment. It's a shielding effect, but it also gives you calming, clearing, and emotional healing. Let's see. And this one here, which you can't see that well, move it up a little bit here. That's Archangel Chamuel. That one's for stress and trauma for those that actually have, that lived through the last 3 years, 4 years with COVID and stuff like that. That kind of stuff can help. And these are also, we're trying to get them into the hands of, the first responders, military, vets and stuff like that to help release stress and trauma that they're dealing with. So these are all tools with their own benefits. And then I'm going to move this one up a little bit. Got the little light reflecting off it, so I'll move that off to the side. And this one here is Metatron. And this one's got a design in the middle too, like yours does, Jimmy. This one is basically the same as the anklets, but this is armor in a pendant form. And so these are actually all shielding, but they're based off of the Metatron pendant. And then basically Michael came in, asked for that. Chamuel came in for that one, and Gabriel came in for this one. So they're all different tools to do different things.
Now, how are they constructed? I mean, because I only bring this up because I'm going to pull this. You just stay right there. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. They are stunning, right? And beautiful, but there's an engineering and jeweler aspect of this and the tooling that is incredible to look at. And they are perfect. They're just perfect. How are they made? How do you do this?
So the way they're made is, first off, is the tensor rings. So it's the copper rings that you see there. They're based off of the lost qubit that Slim Sperling brought into existence in the early 90s. It's basically working for the heart chakra, higher heart, emotional field, DNA repair. And that's the energy that the tensor ring itself creates. So it creates a torus field of its own. and there's a film of energy going through the middle of it. So it's like just visualize blowing bubbles. So there's an energy field inside this ring that actually intersects all the crystals. And then from there, what it does is the tensor ring, using that torus field, projects that energy out towards you if you're wearing it, and out away from you as well. So
Well,
yes,
okay, and the crystals themselves, how do you? I'm going to pull myself back up here for a second.
yep.
They're flat, but all you can see all of the crystals in here. So how is that done? Take us through that process.
Okay. So the first, like I said, the first step is the tensor ring, and then from there we populate we have a mold, and then we populate it with all the crystals inside of it, and then giving your morganite, tanzanite, lapis, black onyx, tiger eye. That's all down in the bottom of the center of a Michael, down the bottom there. Then you have the green crystals, which is green mica. Blue is turquoise, and then the white in the middle, that is actually powdered selenite. And then what we do is, once that's in the mold, we actually put resin in it, let it set, and then from there we actually start the cleanup process and remove all excess resin all the way around the copper ring. And then from there we also use a lapidary to the point where we flatten them out to, I think they're about 4 millimeters thick.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to actually go from a copper wire all the way down to all that.
The crystals in the one that I have, let me see if I can. It's probably not going to look right, but the tiger eye in the bottom here, that's my favorite part. Oh, aside from the jaguar head. And you can kind of see, everybody can see the mouth and the eye and the ear of the jaguar there. When you see it in person, it's just like, no way. It looks like a photograph. It's really cool. But the tiger eye, which is right here, is you can see it reflecting.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful. I love it. I love it. I wear it all the time. So for somebody that let me pull this up. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Peter. I clicked
you're
you
fine.
out, and that's okay. Okay, so back to this. When you have 4 different ones that do 4 different things. I have Michael. That's mine.
Yeah.
And I know you just took me through all of this, but for somebody that is looking for this, what should they be looking at in their own personal development and their own journey to make the right selection? Because it's all about higher frequencies, right? And adjusting and getting yourself fixed.
Yes. First, you have to be honest with yourself on what you need. What kind of help or what kind of support do you need, and what can the tool that through the descriptions on the site, you can actually look at them, and what will the tools help you with? Let's just say you need, if you're dealing with stress and trauma, that's a Chamuel. If it's not severe, it would be a Michael. If you're like an energy healer or working on your spiritual growth and you're already past all that trauma stuff, the Gabriel is amazing. If you understand where you are emotionally, you don't have to worry about anything, but you're super sensitive to other people's, let's say, energy. That's the Metatron pendant. That will help you actually just protect yourself as you're going through your day. The way we can actually do that is everybody can actually visualize wearing one, and you can actually feel it remotely. You can just visualize this pendant right here, Michael. Just visualize you're wearing it, and then you have to actually activate it for yourself, because these are tools. You're going to need to control them.
Mm-hmm.
So what you would do is just put, let's just say visualize it. Put your hand on your chest like you're wearing it, like it's underneath your hand. Visualize it there. Tell it to synchronize to your frequency. Reset any intentions. So just reset for me, and then tell it to go to full power and just feel the energy of the pendant. If Michael isn't the right pendant, you won't feel anything really there. So you'd go over to another pendant and do that same thing, synchronize, reset for me, and go to full power and feel the different pendants. And whichever one is the strongest responding, that's the one that you really meant to have. For me, I'm a water sign, so I'm extremely sensitive to energy, especially in public space. So I always wear the anklets and I put the sock over them so nobody knows they're there. They're just there. So it protects my energy field from everybody else, so we can be in the public eye without any problems. And then I tend to have either a Metatron or a Michael to help either keep me shielded or help balance my emotional energies and keep my energy calm. So it's looking at the different frequencies of them.
Now, if somebody meets you and they're walking by and looking at your stuff, a natural way is to look at jewelry or accessories, right? And I'm just saying because it looks great.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody that is buying or thinking about this as an accessorize, right? What would is that wrong to look at this from an aesthetic point of view? Or would you steer somebody? Yeah, okay, they look great, but, or can you just accessorize with them?
Well, what I would actually recommend is, yes, you can accessorize with them. It's entirely your choice to do what you want to do. Again, everything is a choice. And I saw one of the questions like, so what if you get one, then what? Well, at that point, so what you're going to do is your body is going to actually start understanding that frequency, and you're going to start basically resonating the exact same frequency as the pendant, which makes it kind of feel like it's not doing anything, but it literally shifted you. So at that point, you allow the pendant to do its thing and you just wear it regularly. What you want to start doing is noticing the nuances in your life, how it has shifted. Synchronicities all of a sudden start coming more clearly, or, obstacles start falling away much easier than they used to, or things start happening in a better way with relationships. It doesn't really matter, and everybody's unique. So I can't tell you how it's going to interact with you. Everybody is different that way. And as far as the pendants, if you're wearing one in public, the people are higher vibration. They walk by, they see it, they recognize it, and you'll see them rubbernecking it, going like that. They're like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." The people that are not of a higher frequency, they'll look at it and just look the other way, won't even think twice. It's just the nature of the tool.
I brought up in the beginning of the show your work in rebalancing the divine masculine.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a second, and let's bring you back to big screen.
All right. There we go.
Man, he's got all the tools over there. Look at that, man. I like that overhead camera. That was like the Home Shopping Network. That was cool. Well done. I totally can do that in here. I've got multiple cameras, right?
Yeah.
And so why not get one of these or an additional one that just pointed straight down? That would be really cool. Yeah, you got me thinking. Yeah, like I need one more thing to do in my life. The divine masculine. And I feel like, and I'm not wrong, that the divine masculine has got a bad rap. It does, doesn't it?
It does.
Why?
Well, we have to look at the way the world has been run for a very long time under patriarchal status, and they have abused the masculine in that frame. And we need to have more of a matriarchal balance, so a masculine and feminine balance in our leadership roles, for one. But that is not necessarily the way that we're talking about it. We're talking about energetically masculine and feminine, to the point where where you can have somebody in a leadership position that can still exude leadership, forcefulness, and be dominant without disrespecting the feminine, or even just emotional state, and being compassionate. So you have to be able to balance being a man. It's like, I don't necessarily need to pull out a rifle to be a man, or have a six pack and a cigar. You know what I mean? It's just like, we need to be able to balance all those energies out and be able to be compassionate, as much as the women need to be a little bit more on the masculine side as well, to get that energetic balance.
Is there, and it was my next question, but I was just watching the chat and it was in there. Do women here? Let me see if I can catch this. It's back here a ways. Oh yeah, here it is. Do
Oh, yeah.
women have divine masculine in them too? And that's coming from a woman.
Yes, that we all have a balance. It just depends. It is when you come into incarnate, you choose your balance on how you wanted to live your life. You can see the imbalance in our society right now. There is an imbalance on the masculine and in the feminine. There are some men that are overly feminized, some women that are overly masculine, and it's just like, it's a completely out of balance. And you can't live, a society cannot be in that type of imbalance and survive. We have to bring balance back into our environment. And this is where it's like, personally, you have to actually look at who you're trying to be and what you want to represent. It's like, for me, it's like, when I was growing up, it was, I grew up in the woods. So there's a lot of masculine things to do out in the woods, chopping wood, doing the guns and hunting and all that, all that kind of stuff. And then then I started to actually balance that back out. Kids are a good way to bring that in, because they actually teach you unconditional love. And it's just something that you don't necessarily understand as a man when you're first growing up, because it's just, unless it's your mother, it's really not really there. So that's where it's like, kids are the real teachers of the balance. So it's like, let's just think of it this way. So for a woman, for a divine masculine, yes, you have to actually learn how to be a divine masculine with strength and compassion, when especially dealing with kids, with the big no.
Okay, I'm not here to offend, but
Me neither.
sometimes I can be a dick, only because I just call it as I see it. All right. So let's be honest here. And you brought it up first. It's your fault.
Okay.
Is that we have an issue on this planet right now, where it's certainly here in the United States. I can't speak necessarily for the rest of the world, but here in the United States, a little bit too soft on the male side of things.
Yeah.
Or a tendency to go in that direction. And but that doesn't say that the feminine side isn't getting too masculine. That's happening too. And I met a couple. Oh, thank God I don't have their names. I wouldn't say it anyway. But this is about 4 years ago. Meet this couple and their child. And fans of the show and whatever, they want to come up and they want to talk about this and that. And they were offended by a couple of things that I had said. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking to myself, dude, you need to grow a pair. Okay. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, you need to back up. Get back to 50-50 here or something, but it was way off balance. And I'm looking at their child, who is confused.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm telling you,
yes.
Confused. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but I see the three of them in this dynamic that's going on. I'm like, this can't be the world in 50 years. If this continues like this, this is bad news. And I'm just calling it like I see it. It just seemed weird, like unnatural and messed up. And and things. It was just I didn't dig it. I'm just calling
No.
it like I see it, and it was strange. And I'm thinking to myself, how do we get here? How is this possible?
Well, this
I
brings
have
in
some well, you know what? I want you to answer that. How did we get here? I think part of the reason why we got there is because we knew that we were out of balance to begin with, right? And that now it's like too much of a good thing, and it swung the other way.
but we were very masculine coming out of like World War I, World War II, and then after that, you have to understand it's like this is when petrochemicals and all that stuff started really getting influenced into our food supply, water supply, and all that. If you look at the like BPA, your body absorbs it readily, and it's mimicking estrogen, and it's in all your tin cans as a lining. It's in all your plastic, all your paper cups as a lining. It's all on every single thermal paper receipt. Exactly, all that. So it demasculates.
This is natural bamboo, by the way. It is.
So
It is.
that's
It's
good.
natural
That's a
bamboo,
good thing. Yeah. So I mean, we have been modified through everything in our environment in the United States to really kind of push imbalances. And it's been that way for a long time. And they're starting to come out. It's been out for a few years, but it's never been really mainstream. I think RFK is going to start going down that list of items that need to be removed from our, from the food supply, and the safety line items need to be removed. So I think that's
Okay.
part of what we're doing.
I think that's part of it. I think that's
Yeah.
part of it. I think
Yes.
no, it certainly is part of it. But if we look at the strange path of history in modern history in the last 2,000 years, where things really got out of whack, and so I think we're in an overcorrection mode. So much so, okay, I'm going to throw a fact out, Peter. I don't know how old you are. I know that we're pretty close to being the same age.
Yeah.
Did you know that until 1974, now I would say 1974 is modern history, wouldn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, right? I
Yeah.
was born in 63. So I would say 1974, ABBA, right? New music.
Oh, yeah.
Disco's right around the corner. But 1974, until 1974, a wife could not have her own credit card in the United States.
Yeah.
Did you know that? The husband had to co-sign on it. Yeah. Now, you want to talk about, and just thinking about the dominance of the divine masculine, and then you have that. It's the suffragettes, right? The right to vote, the oppressed. Yeah, we're not talking about ancient history here. We're talking about modern times, man. 1974, the Fair Credit Act, got brought in so women could have their own credit cards. I read that, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, really? Every mom, every housewife in this country until 1974 had to have their husband co-sign for a credit card.
Yeah.
Now think
a little
about
much.
that. Yeah. So some overcorrection happened because correction was needed.
Yes, it's like we're doing politically right now. It's the same thing. We're overcorrecting. So we went too far to the masculine, the patriarchal. We're going to have to swing back and go more matriarchal for a little bit, and then swing back and have a balance. It's the only way to really get through it all is actually be balanced.
When we look at, you bring up Metatron, if you go back to ancient Egypt and you look at the period of Egypt, actually those 3,000 years, all the way to Cleopatra, right? Women it was 50%. Women had the respect of everything. Some of the greatest pharaohs and the greatest leaders throughout Egypt were women. they didn't see, you know what I mean? They didn't have that type of, I don't want to say discrimination because it's just not the right word, but ancient Egypt had it figured out. After Cleopatra, it all amnesia set in for the next 2,000 years, right up to present day.
Yeah. And it's more of a masculine feminine balance, like the way we talked about it. We need to actually have that masculine and feminine balance. And they had that back there. It was more, instead of actually looking at it as male and female back then, it was a masculine and feminine energy balance along with that, the male female, because the perspectives of both are needed, because we are definitely not wired the same.
It's crazy. So how, back to your work really quick. How do you focus your efforts to rebalance this?
To rebalance, as far as for who? For myself or for others?
No, feminine, the divine feminine, divine masculine.
Well, the divine feminine, divine masculine, it's for me, it's looking at what you need to heal. And for every individual is different for the energy that they need to work on.
Do you spark it? Is it sparked? You know what I mean? Is it awakened in everybody?
Well, it's everybody has it. So what you could do for the tool, for as far as what we do is like I usually help people to do intentions on the tools, and it's basically giving your body instructions and intentions, but it gives you a focus point. So you give it an intention. I really want to focus on balancing my masculine and feminine energies. And it'll actually you'll start feeling a difference in the way you see things and the perspective and the way you respond to things. You'll become more balanced in that way instead of being either over emotional or just jumping on things. Everybody, I'm not perfect. I still have issues with that. So it happens. And then we're here to learn. So it's one of those things we need to work through it.
The other part, and you mentioned this earlier, and I just let it get past us. It's important, which is some of us don't need a course correction, or happy with ourselves, right? And so with that, and to go and try to fine tune energy and energy fields, and not only that, but the path that you want to be on, for somebody that's already pretty smoothed out, what advice would you give them with these tools?
That's somebody that's already smoothed out, that are already on their, let's say, chosen path.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, it's like, okay, these tools actually, it's like, if you're already on that type of path and you're already balanced out, I would actually say, okay, this is where, like the Gabriel, which is opening your third eye, crown chakra, star chakra, to open up here to actually give you guidance on where you go next. What is your next step? If you're already there, you already have actually worked on all the smaller things, which are usually lifetimes worth of work. If you're already there, that would be your Gabriel to help you open up your spiritual gifts that we all have.
And now I have the Michael. Does this affect everybody the same way, or is it different with everybody?
It has its basic program, so it'll give you shielding and calming, clearing, and emotional healing. But the way that frequency interacts with you will be unique to you.
Yeah, no two people are the same, right?
Correct. It's
no, go ahead.
Mixing two frequencies.
I interrupt way too much. I need to figure out a way to stop interrupting. But no two people are the same. So I'm kind of answering my own question. But no two people are the same.
Yes. So it's you are dependent to your frequency, and now you're migrating your frequency to a new frequency. So it's going to modify you up from where you are. And it's going to teach you how to manage your own frequency. What the fun part about it is, like, if you can actually label it when you put a pendant on, give your left brain something to go do with itself, label the feeling, and you put that on, you put the pendant on every day, label it every day. Eventually you won't have to have the pendant because your body will remember exactly how to do it without even thinking about it. It'll just be on.
Now, there are people that are listening to this or that are going to listen to this in the future, and they're going to go, it's bullshit. And I
Yep.
know you get that all the time and you think about
Oh,
it.
we do.
Yeah. What's your answer to that?
My answer to that is of multiple levels. The way I would actually explain it to folks, it's like, well, the energies are here and they're very available in these tools. Whether you can feel them or not, they are there. If you can't feel them, that doesn't mean you can't utilize it, and it doesn't mean that it's not available to you. It's your choice if you want to go down this path. They will always be there for you, even though if you choose not to use them today, they will always be there. And these tools are here to help you get your frequencies to a higher place, or at least in a protected place where you can actually figure out who you are from the beginning. So that's what Metatron said in the beginning, to be able to feel your own frequency as we go through this time. So trying to figure out who you are without everybody else's muck and garbage and energy. So that's what these help you do. So whether you feel it or not is irrelevant. It's what you choose to do with it and what you plan on doing with your future. It's more of a choice. What is your path? What do you want to do?
If somebody, okay, and I love I just love offending people, but this is the truth. I feel empathy and sadness for people that don't give a shit about anything else outside of their 2D existence.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't consider synchronicities. They don't ponder a deja vu when it happens. They don't wonder about anything. They are just stuck in the rut of their 2D existence. And those kinds, right, are if you're closed down, then that's it. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
I feel sadness.
Yeah.
Physics and science is doing their best to show us that there's something else beyond this dimension that we live in. They talk about it every single day.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world would benefit from thinking like that.
Yeah.
Because this kind of tool, and that's what it is. It's a key. It's a tool, right?
Yes.
This is
tools.
fascinating. Right. This is fascinating. But if you're just like, well, that's on you. I feel bad for you. I do. I feel bad. Life is fun and interesting, and there's so much, every day that goes by, Peter, we find out, I'm serious, as a planet, we find out more and more that we know nothing. We know nothing. We know nothing. Every day science is like, well, we got that wrong. Right. But it's so funny where a couple of weeks ago, the accepted one of the many accepted ideas and theories in physics and cosmology is that the universe is expanding at faster rates. Right. It's exponentially. Right. And then, it comes out a couple of weeks ago. Well, actually, that's not the case. It's slowing down. Well, wait a minute. Is it slowing down or is it speeding up? What is dark energy? What are these dark forces? What is the stuff that you're talking about? And it was released. I didn't comment on it today. I'll do it tomorrow. There's a report that was released yesterday. You ready? They just found a galaxy without any dark energy in it.
Yep.
Now wait, but it's just like wait. Is it or isn't it? God, man, can we just figure this out? And the point is, maybe we're not supposed to know everything all the time.
No. Well, we have to understand it's like if you look at this dimension that we're in here and Earth as a schoolhouse, all the books I had read, which, I came into spiritual along with the energy healing, Dolores Cannon, Brian Weiss, Michael Newton, the near death stuff, or the regressions that bring you into the other side. It's really, really interesting to understand. It's like, okay, there is way more to reality than what we can physically see. And a lot of these, it's like, what is it, Dolores Cannon or Michael Newton? I think it was. It's like the one thing that everybody regrets is they worried too much about all the crap that we're dealing with every day. You go through life and you worry, all that energy you spend on worrying. And it's just like, okay, interesting. But it's interesting when you go into down that rabbit hole of understanding energy and what your path is. And then, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? Why am I here? I like you brought up before. It's like, if you're not doing your bliss, what are you doing? It's like, I'm doing what I was actually guided to do by, some higher dimensional being. So I'm having fun doing it. It's like I get new
It's
messages all the
awesome.
time.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I often think with so many, it's not like a small percentage, it's a big chunk of life on this planet that spends a big chunk of their life pissed off and angry.
Yep.
And thinking about anger, right? And
Oh,
you
yeah.
get to the end of your life, you get to the end of your time on this beautiful blue gem of a rock. Man, it's just incredible. But to get to the end, just go, man, how much time did I waste being pissed off? I could have spent all that pissed off time in the good, happy zone and lived a much, you know what I mean? A meaningful life. And I'm not going to be that person. I'm simply not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a graph at one point, I think a couple of years ago, that actually showed it showed you what your frequency would be based on anger or fear or all the way up to joy. And it was like you could actually see it's like if you were on this line over here and you look over to your right, it's like this is what you can expect as an outcome. It's like joy will beget this. It's like fear will beget these kind of negative. So whatever frame of mind you're stuck in, you're going to get that bouncing back at you. It's like a mirror.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm glad you bring this up. I've never talked about this before. I was probably 16, 15 years old. And I'm with somebody that's older than me. Right? We're riding in a car. I'm in the passenger seat. And this person's driving. And I'm thinking about somebody at school that I don't like. Okay.
Yep.
And I get into this thought. I don't know how long it lasted, but the person driving hit me. Dude, wake up. And I was like, what? I was just talking for 10 minutes. And I said, what? And I thought to myself, and this person said to me, what were you thinking about? Because you were gone. Yep. And I thought to myself, I was thinking about anger. And it took me there, Peter. I went, dude, it was like this crazy existential dark force that I couldn't see pulled me out of my of everything and took me to a place I didn't dig. And I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I did that at the age of like 15, 16, and that was my rude awakening. I'm not going to have negative thoughts. I'm not a pushover. I don't want to suggest that. I'm not a pushover. Okay, I'm not.
No.
But that kind of negative thought was a waste. 10 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
It was a waste. I could have been
Yeah.
engaged in this conversation with my friend, but instead I was taken away. And so many of us are pulled away from joy and positivity.
Yeah. Well, that story is actually probably more represented today than we've ever seen in our society. A lot of people are stuck in that fear and anger, and they can't even hear people telling them, "Hello, are you awake? Are you still there? What's going on?" And they're going off and doing some of these really random, heinous acts of violence against people and places and all this other stuff. And I'm looking at them going, "Why are you doing that? What frame of mind are you stuck in that you can't even see the proper motive, what's going on?" And it's really interesting to see. It's like right now we're in that type of frame where this narrative has been built up of fear over everything going on. It's really kind of interesting to see.
It's the bubble, man. People are
I
in a
don't know.
bubble. Yeah, people are in a bubble and they only know.
Yeah.
They only know about the bubble that they are in, right? They're in this little thing and so a couple of weeks ago, I mean, I love pissing people off. I like making people think. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm with 4 or 5 happen to be male, 4 or 5 people in this group. And we're doing our thing, talking or whatever. And then I'm not kidding. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, well, blah 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 blah, da ha." And I look, and he looked at me. So what? No, my man, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not angry. I'm not. No. Sorry, man. I gotta go. And it was leading
Exactly.
by example. Yeah, it's just like, man, no. It's just and it was just so
Exactly.
funny. Yeah. And listening, I was just like, man, you are in a bubble. You're in a bubble. You're just in people. So many are just exposed to this little framework and social media and the internet. If that's your choice, which is fine, but will zone in on your habits.
Yep.
It'll feed the kitty, man.
Oh,
Whatever
yeah.
it is. If you are into, I'll just make something up. If you are into carne asada street tacos, that's going to be in your feed.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Your feet,
Yep.
and you think the world, it's skateboards, guitars, and watches. For me, right, or whatever. Trust me, my feed. If you follow my feed in social media, you would think that everybody on this planet eats deep dish pizza and plays guitar and rides a Harley. Everybody, nobody else.
Yep.
Nobody does anything but that. That's my feed, right?
Yes.
So if you are into something and it's an anger thing, whatever it is, that's what your feed is going to be. So you just assume that the rest of the world is as pissed off as you are about said subject, when here's the reality. It's just you, man.
Yep.
It's just you. It's crazy.
It's the echo chamber.
Yeah. Man, social media and AI, they've got it completely figured out. You should have seen this guy 2 weeks ago. I thought he was going to blow a fuse. Ah!
Oh, yeah.
Just, whoa, man. I was like, dude, no. I'm out of here. I'm going to go get a sandwich and go home and be happy. I'm not part of that. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep.
And that's why this stuff, I'm serious. I should have had this in my pocket and went, hey man, come here. Just let me help you out. Let me put this around your neck and you just go home tonight and sleep with this on. It's funny. I just thank you for the work that you do. Where can everybody reach out and follow you?
You can find me on all the socials for the most part. You can find me as Energies of Service on all the socials, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X. But you can find my website. It's energiesofservice.com, and all the stuff is up on that. All the descriptions, actually, if you click on and click into the shop and into each product, the actual very long and fully detailed explanations of all that. We have some videos that we're working on right now for each product, each pendant, so it gives you an idea of what it really will do for you. Just as a baseline, never mind what you add for intentions onto them or anything like that.
Somebody just said there's a carne asada burrito somewhere in the universe. Oh, that's Jessica with their name on it. So you're kind of like, Doc Brown in Back to the Future. What are you working on now? Do you have a surprise?
Right
Yeah. Do you have a surprise coming down the line?
Right now, we're working on doing the pyramids, the ascension chambers, as you will. Right now, I'm working on. I'm literally building one today. We have a lady picking one up next week.
I told you. Yeah, I think I'm going to go down that road. I don't know if I'm going to have it outside or somewhere inside of the house. Now, what's the difference between the Great Pyramid 52 degrees and then the other ones that are taller with a sharper angle?
So you have the Giza, which is the 52, approximately, and then you have the Nubian, which is also it's down in the not the Giza Plateau, but up the Nile River, and it's actually, I believe, approximately 72 degrees.
72.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So the energy between the two of them, like the Giza, if you have a Giza pyramid, it's really wide base. So it'll take up a 10 by 10 room and only be about 6 feet tall. And the energy of that one, if you lie down in that, you could be in there for 40 minutes, an hour, not a problem. Do your journey. It's very mellow. And if you're doing energy work, it's actually integrative. So the work you do while you're in there is completed while you're in there. The Nubian is a little different. The Nubian is a lot stronger in getting things done. Like you said, you were in there 15 minutes, but you had a couple days. That's the difference. And then you had to take time to integrate all that, because it's like, what did I just experience? It's going to take you a little bit to understand what just happened. So that's the two difference between the two different pyramids. One is more graceful and one is, let's get this done.
Are you going to have kits? I mean,
that's what I'm working on.
Yeah. Because you could. Let me look at the clock. We got 60 seconds left. It seems like you could get most of the stuff. Well, you got to make it pretty. So that's also a lot of work. You got to make it look pretty, but you can get most of the stuff like at any home improvement store. But you need the brackets with the angles and on the four corners on the bottom. If one could get those pieces of hardware, then the rest of it should be pretty easy to do. But where would I go for that? Or is that something that you're thinking about providing?
Yeah, we're going to be able to do kits with the corner pieces, the top. We're also going to do the complete kit where you can get the polished pipe and all that stuff all done up. And also with the full kit, you get the tensor rings, which amplify, and the Merkaba, which is an amplifier.
Yeah, man,
Comes
so
as a
cool.
full crazy kit.
Yeah, so cool. I mean, I've got the high ceilings. You and I were talking about this last week. I can see it happening in my future. I want to put on the tool belt and make this happen. I'm going to do it. Peter, you're the absolute very best. Give my tell Vivian I said yo, and we will speak very soon. All right, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jimmy, for having me on. It's been a wonderful.
You're the best, Peter. Thank you. And Peter's website is energiesofservice.com. We've got the links below throughout social media and over on our website. Peter, enjoy the rest of your evening, my man. Thank you so much. Peter
Thank you
Benson.
so much. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too, Peter. Peter Benson, everybody. I am your host, Jimmy Church. And what is going on? Man, I do this every single night. where I space out as to what I am doing tomorrow. Tomorrow is Ray Hernandez is with us, and we're going to be talking about his Beyond UFO studies. All of that and much more tomorrow night on Fade to Black. Until then, all I've got is Go Backley Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Backley Tappy.